Hello again, Miss Larrabee here with our art lesson for this week. Last time we talked about doodle art and we used lines and variation to create interest. This week we're going to be adding to that thought using line to show depth or perspective. This is one of my favorite art concepts to practice because you can do so many things with this to create an illusion, which is really what perspective is. Perspective in art is creating the illusion of depth on a two-dimensional surface. What I mean by that is this paper is obviously flat, and just by using lines and perspective, we make it look like these shapes are coming out of the center of our paper. We're going to learn how to do that today, practice together, and then I can't wait to see what you guys come up with as far as using perspective in some other ways, applying it differently. Today you're just going to need a pencil, a ruler, and an eraser. If you don't have a ruler, a straight edge would be just fine. This is just the edge of a cereal box. The factory makes one side really straight, and then I cut it out, and mine is not near as straight, so I would make sure I use the factory edge, but you can use that instead of a ruler if you need to. I'm going to be using a marker just so that my lines show up on the video a little better. You could do that too if you'd rather instead of a pencil. And you can use any kind of paper for this lesson today. I mean, this is on cardstock. This is just on printer paper. If you have graph paper, that would look really neat. If you had, I don't know, even just newsprint from like the weekly paper, that would look kind of cool on here too. Today I'm going to use a cereal box. I'm going to stay on that same theme. So this is just cut out part of a cereal box just because I really like this different background for what we're doing. It's a pretty simple line project, and this just creates, I don't know, a little more interest to the background. All right, so the first thing we're going to do for perspective today is start with our vanishing point. Add a dot to the center of your paper. You can guesstimate the center. You don't have to measure for it. Just eyeball it. Do your best. This is going to be the vanishing point, or the spot at which all of our lines converge. The spot where all of our lines meet up. This is where, if you were looking out on the horizon line in the distance, this is where it looks like the road disappears. This is that spot. It's called the vanishing point. We're not going to create a horizon line today. We've done that in our artwork before. This is kind of a cool way to just see space as a whole around our vanishing point. All right, so vanishing points here, we're going to add shapes around the outside. I'm going to vary what my shapes are. I mean, just simple two-dimensional shapes. Circle, diamond. I'm also going to vary the size of my shapes. I'm going to make some larger and some smaller. I'm going to have some closer to the vanishing point and some further away. So kind of think about a circle going around your vanishing point, and then vary, just like we talked about last week, add variation. Vary where your different shapes go. See, I'll add a circle back here too. It's okay that some of them might overlap a little. And a square. All right. Think about adding shapes with the rule of odds in your mind. We've talked about it in some of our classes, using an odd number of objects instead of an even number of objects. Odd number of objects just grab the viewer's attention differently, which is kind of a cool concept. Our brains, when we look at an even number of things, can organize them into groups, but an odd number of things, our brains tend to look at each individual object, which is what you want in your artwork. You want the viewer to look around at your entire artwork and their eye not get stuck on just one corner of it. So when I say to use an odd number of objects, it's just a little more interesting to the eye. All right, let's count. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, did I do 10? Okay, let me add one more. In fact, I think if I were looking at my composition, it looks a little empty back here anyway. So put around 9, or if you're like me, you end up with 10. That's fine too. Shapes around your vanishing point. All right, pick up your ruler or your straight edge. This is kind of the fun part where the perspective magic happens. We're going to draw a line from the vanishing point to each side of our shape. And you might say, Miss Larrabee, circles don't have sides. They're round, right? But in this case, it's going to be the two places on the circle that are facing the vanishing point. Here's how I like to do that. I always start at my vanishing point. I'll put my marker here. I put my ruler right beside it, and then I can kind of pivot it around. And I'll come up to my first shape, and as soon as my ruler hits the side of the shape, I'm going to draw a line. Each shape is going to have two lines drawn to it, one for each side. And then I can just keep going all the way around my artwork. We're going to be just adding two lines. This is kind of fun because these two are potentially going to intersect. So I'm going to do the shape that would be closest to me first, the one that I would see everything on. I'm going to do the shape that looks like it's in front to me, and I would say that it looks like this is going to be in front of that. And then I'm going to come back and do the circle. Instead of starting at my vanishing point, this time I'm going to start at my circle. And I'm going to go until I bump into the shape below, and I'm going to stop. Looks like this side's going to clear it. I'm going to start at the top just in case. You can see now that it looks like this triangle is in front of this circle because our eye knows that because this line stops here, it must be behind. All right, here we go. I'm going to speed up just a little. Drawing my lines to each side. Turn your paper as you need to. Just always keep your vanishing point in the center. All right. Here's another where one's going to be in front of the other. Oops, sorry. One's going to be in front of the other. I'm going to take the one that's closest to the vanishing point as the one that's in front. And the one that's further away is the one that's in back. And I'm going to start at the shape when it's in back, just to be sure that it's not going to bump into. Oh, right there goes bump. We'll stop right there. All right, last two. All right, you're going to have a choice of how you want to color this in. It depends on whatever supply you have, markers, colored pencils, crayons, construction paper even. I can show you a little bit of that in a second. We're going to find ways to color these in, though, that also just add to the interest. Okay, so I like coloring in my shapes with black. Remember, the neat way to color in is with all your lines going the same direction. So see how I had all my lines go the same way? If you have a marker, this might go a little more quickly, but I would color in each of these shapes black. That's going to create some rhythm or balance to our picture, a repetition that's the same on all of them, because then we're going to add color that adds some interest, that makes something a little different on all of them. So I'm going to use markers, colored pencils, crayons. If you're using paper, you could even use watercolor. And I'm going to color in each of these lines a different color. Notice how I'm using my marker. I'm going in the same direction. I'm going carefully. On artwork like this that's using perspective and line is so important. Making it really neat is super important as well. Using good workmanship will be part of keeping the illusion intact. All right, so you guys get the idea. You can go all the way around. You know, another option, and I did it on another sample here, would be to color your shapes different colors, and then all your lines could be black coming in. Just another option there. But this gives you the illusion that it's coming out. I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with. I'm going to add a separate video on. So this is your lesson for this week. Please share pictures if you can. I will have my email. You can email them to me or share them through your teacher. If you're already turning them in, the teachers are great about getting those to me. It's just fun for me to get to see what you guys are doing. No stress, but if it works out, that would be great. Here's another lesson that I'm going to add on. Oh, here, I'll show you this first. Sorry. So here's what it looks like on white paper. I did this with marker and then dropped water on it, so this side looks a little more clear. And some of you might remember, I believe if you're in 5th grade, you might have done this in 4th grade last year. We did it using construction paper. A little different, same concept, a few extra steps in there, but that could be fun too. If you would rather use, you know, cut your shapes out and use paper and make your vanishing lines, you could do that too. Kind of cool. Makes kind of a collage look. Okay, but here's what I was going to show you. I'm going to add a separate video if you would like to learn and practice how to do your name with the same idea with the vanishing point. There's me. My son Eli did it with me as well. Oh, and he put a fun little face down at the bottom. That's going to be on a separate lesson. So if that sounds fun, join me for that. I'm going to put a couple of other links on this lesson as well. There are some really neat things you can do with 1 and 2 point perspective. Some of you have done that with me. Some of you, those are new concepts. But if it's something that you want to explore more, there's a couple of more links at the bottom that you can do a little bit more with. All right, my artist, I look forward to seeing your beautiful artwork. Have a good day.